What's up everybody? Welcome back to the video. How are you? I'm fantastic, thank you for asking. Today, we're going to do a little bit of a walkthrough like usual. We've got a pull session today. We've got a slightly different pull session than usual. So I'm going to take away the name pull, I'm going to call it posterior instead, because we do actually have some hamstrings involved. Now the reason why I've got hamstrings involved on my pull day is because generally speaking, when you're pulling things or hip flexing, or even spinal flexing, any of those things, you're going to engage your hamstrings. I need more hamstrings. My glutes, my hamstrings, they become very soggy when I drop down weight and I lose that size. So I wanted to add a little bit more volume there. So we're going to have deadlifts today, which is obviously a big posterior movement. We're going to have the hamstrings, then we're going to move on to back. But we're going to show you how to balance the volume right. I'm still 18 days post hernia recovery or 19 days post hernia surgery recovery. So I'm not going to be maxing out on my deadlifts. But training has been going pretty darn well, so we're definitely going to try and push a little bit closer to failure today. So without further ado, first exercise, long rope pull-overs with the new one of my long rope. So the reason why we use the long rope here, because if we were on a shorter rope, for example, maybe I'm holding a shorter rope, maybe the short rope's about this length, you very much get stuck here, and the natural line of what your lat wants to use is obviously from pretty narrow, but then you want to come wider and wider and wider to get that full range of motion through the lat. But if you stop here, you're missing out on all of this. So if you're in that shorter rope, which is usually about this length, you're just going to get stuck. But the long rope just allows you to reduce that, increase that angle, and pull through that full range of motion. And I fucking love this piece of equipment. They've been ordered. They'll be here in about 4 to 6 weeks. So we may, shh, don't tell Amy. We may have a new member of the One of our family coming soon. I'll show you a quick picture. So you can appreciate with this movement, there's a lot of core stability involved. You're not in a strong position. You can make it a little bit stronger by pulling up a bench, and you could pull against the bench. But I'm not really using this as an exercise to build muscle directly. I am obviously, but I'm more using it to prime my muscles. And by prime, we just mean get ready. Get the neurological signals firing, get some blood in the muscle, get some heat around the joints. So we're not really focused on taking this to like ultimate failure, but more just working for a full range of motion, getting a lot of blood in the lats before we go and load them heavy. That'll do. Doctor said don't pick up more than 10 kilos for 4 weeks. Fuck that. So this is my first direct core loading exercise that I've done in 6 weeks. Because before, when I found out I had the hernia, maybe less, maybe 4 weeks. When I found out I had the hernia, I stopped doing it because I didn't want to make it bigger. So I'm gonna more talk about how to do this and the technique behind it, rather than show you some big weight, because I can't do anything. I'm probably going to stick on 60 kilos because it's just stupid for me to push things like that. I'm happy to push things in a very fixed environment, but when it's a barbell deadlift, it's not very fixed, there's a lot of risk. I don't need to do that for my hernia. So first things first, take your shoes off. If you're wearing shoes like I do, they're spongy and you can push them in. So what happens when you've got more weight on this side, it pushes in and you rock up like this. So take your shoes off, wear some Vans, wear some flat shoes so you can get nice and flat to the ground. Line yourself up nicely to the bar, usually about shoulder width apart. You're going to bend down, obviously. And what I want you to focus on when you're doing your deadlift is actually sitting back into it and holding that position above your knees and then pushing your hips through, rather than a lot of people will just push up like that and use a lot of back. What I want you to focus on is holding yourself in the position, setting back, above the knees, hips come through. Actually, it feels quite good, so maybe we'll put some more weight on. I feel fatigued after that. That was only a couple. The real OGs and I say the real OGs, the OGs from 2020 will recognize this machine. This isn't the exact one, but this is the exact same machine as I had in my garage. Because I was like, I can't do my hamstrings on the cable machine, but I can do extensions, so I bought one of these. So I know it very well, and we are gonna essentially put the finishing touches on hamstrings. Hamstrings have obviously been warmed up really nicely in the deadlift, along with your glutes. So literally just a couple sets on here, just to add to my weekly volume on my hamstrings, and we're done. And then we'll move on to back. One thing you guys need to remember is when you've had some time off, the first session back, you're going to feel weak, you're going to feel unstable, and you're going to feel like, what's happened? The next time, you're going to feel slightly more stable, a little bit stronger, but you're still going to ask you where that fatigue is building up so quick from. Your muscles aren't used to it, but this is my third session on this session now, and I can feel that endurance coming back finally. I feel like I can handle the full sessions, whereas before I was almost doing half of them and thinking, fuck, my muscles can't handle it. So there's always going to be that step backwards when you take time off. So you've got to appreciate, you've got to walk those steps again. So something that I want you guys to consider when you're doing any type of pull down is the direction of your elbow. So you've got a couple of ways that you can do it. Obviously a lot of people come into a lat pull down and they're bringing their elbows out because they're trying to do their lat pull downs and build their upper lats, which to a certain extent, if you're pulling out wide, you may recruit a part of your upper lat, but a lot of it's going to be reared out. How do we change that? We pull down and forward. Do it mirror on the other arm. Actually, no, you can see on this side. We pull it down and forward into the pocket. And what you're going to take notice of is where my elbow is right now. I'm going to keep my hand right here where my elbow was. So if we were to bring the elbow out, you can see the difference in how deep the elbow gets and how much of that lat you're recruiting. So if you want to grow your lats, bring your elbow forward into your pocket. Today we've got these programmed 2 arms, but I just want you to think about that. And when you're watching me do this, watch both my elbows come forward into my pockets. I definitely can't yank those fucking reps yet. I really just want to like engage my core, crunch down. Not yet. So on this exercise, because we've allocated a little bit of volume to deadlifts and hamstrings, with that allocation comes allocation of time as well. I only have a certain amount of gas tank, hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, if I'm feeling really, really good. I don't want to just throw so much more exercises and variations into my back training because it's just going to take me a long time. So instead I'm going to accumulate a little bit more volume in exercises that are obviously not hugely calorie demanding. For example, this is a big pull, but I'm locked in, I'm fixed. So I'm going to be doing 3 sets on this, 3 sets on a horizontal pull, and then we'll go back down to our normal 2 sets. That just saves me putting in that extra exercise, having to pick myself up, go, warm up again, load up, set myself up. Instead I could just add those extra sets on to a vertical pull, and then a horizontal pull. And it just saves me a bit more time and energy, essentially, just to be efficient across the week. So you can see I was still a little bit shy from failure. So I kind of take it to that limit, stop, recover better the next day. So we worked in a vertical fashion. Now I would generally do a T-bar row now. I'm still a little bit hesitant to put my full weight on my stomach, like in a weight where I'm kind of dead hanging. So instead I'm going to come in a fixed machine. We're going to set this up so that this basically pulls on an arc anyway. So we're going to set this up so I'm leant slightly forward. I've just got the top of my chest on here. My stomach is far away from the pad. I can still grab this in a neutral position. Neutral, pronated, supinated, nearly forgot that one. So we're in neutral here, and you're going to see by the angle and the arch of my elbow, it's going to come up and out. It's going to be focusing on that upper back here. Oh. While I'm rummaging through my bag, some new things from Monomar. We've got the clips, we've got the bands, and we've also got daisy chains on the way. I haven't got the daisy chains just yet, so we're going to have your full reverse banding and banding options all available at Monomar soon. Also, I've been working on these D-handles, so we're going to try them out today. I don't know if they're the ones, but we're trying to find a solution to the D-handle issue. Maybe there's some engineers out there. So I basically wanted to put the strength drop ones like this. I put a loop over the top so you can loop over and then you can lat pull down safely without this stitching breaking, which was the issue in the old ones. This should hold, this little clip here should hold, and the material's strong and it's not under any stress points. The only issue is now I'm sat down. So I'm gonna have to sit here to get the full thing of it, and then if you're here, you're not in a position where your knees are locked in and you're sat on a seat. So I'm now in the predicament of maybe I can make this like even smaller. Maybe I can use this one and I can make it like this close, but then does it add more tension? I don't know. Maybe there's some engineers out there that can help me out with the answer, but for now I'm gonna sit on the floor. So just to cap off the lats here, I'm basically gonna throw something fun in. I'm gonna do a rest pause, or I'm gonna do a drop set, or I'm gonna do a cluster set, or something that's gonna be a novelty stimulus to my back. Something that's completely fresh. And obviously I like doing that shit. I like getting a little bit nasty with it. So I'm gonna decide in the moment. That's how risky I'm gonna be today. So we've done 6 sets on back. No, we did 3 sets horizontally and we did 3 sets vertically. And then we moved on to a finisher move where we did like 3 or 4 drop sets. And that's pretty much it for back. Like I've got 2 back days a day. The second back, 2 back days a week. Obviously the second back day where the hamstrings and deadlifts were, it's just more back. So it's quite a lot of volume on that day. A little bit less on this day to put some towards my hamstrings and glutes. And we're going to finish up on rear delts here. So I've got rear delts and shrugs, no biceps. Not doing biceps on your pull day? It's because I did them yesterday. The impact that you have on a bicep when you're training it doesn't overly impact, really, for me anyway, your pulls. It should be, very much elbow based rather than bicep based. So I can get away with doing the biceps yesterday on my push day. No biceps today, and I'll do them again later on in the week. So 3 sets of rear delts, 2 sets of shrugs, and we're done. I never really see much need to do more than 2 or 3 sets on your rear delts. You've got to think rear delts much like your front delts. Front delts, you're pushing a lot, you use your front delts all the time. If you're pulling a lot, you're using your rear delts just as much. I haven't really trained my rear delts that much in the last year or so. So I literally just tag 2 or 3 sets on if I feel like I've got some energy there. So you don't need to be over training your rear delts. You don't need to do face pulls, then rear delts, then some wide pulls. You don't need to do all that for your rear delts. They're such small muscles that get activated through other movements. There's no logical sense to absolutely hammer them, much like your front delts. So when we look at our traps, there's a few ways they work. They're a big stabilizer muscle. They help a lot in stabilizing the shoulder joint. But the way that we want to work any muscle is work it through its length and range, and its short range. Obviously, with a trap, the short range is when you're shrugged up, the long range is when you're pulled back. Now, you may get instances when you're deadlifting and you're a little bit shrugged, so that's why it tends to be that just because they're very big stabilizer muscles, they get activated in so many back exercises. A lot of people don't need to train traps, much like your rear delts and your front delts, but I've never really put too much attention to them, and I do notoriously, when I put my delts out, for example, my lats out, my traps do sink away, and my neck looks really thin. I get a lot of comments on it. So if you fuckers that talk about my neck all the time, I'm doing something about it, alright? So literally, I'm just gonna go for a shrug. I'm gonna alternate what shrug I do normally. Maybe I'll do a seated one, maybe I'll do standing, maybe I'll do reverse, maybe I'll pull behind. I'm just gonna keep it fresh every time because they've never had real stimulus, so any stimulus is gonna make them grow. I'm just gonna make sure I track all the progressions that I do. We're just gonna start on this Nautilus Explode normal shrugs. So we will wrap the video up there, really. I think hopefully that gave you an insight as to how I manage my volume across the week. I wanted to do this specific workout because it's got hamstrings in it, right? And a lot of people they get stuck in their ways thinking they can only do push-pull legs or like chest Monday, back Tuesday. But you can manipulate your volume. You just got to understand that if you put some hamstring volume in the middle of the week or the beginning of the week on a Tuesday and you've got legs on a Friday, you've got to understand that legs on the Friday session might not have the same amount of hamstring volume in it, for example, because you've already taxed them. And vice versa. I've trained back today, but on Saturday I have back again, so I need to make sure that I don't do too much on Tuesday so I can recover for Saturday, and do not so much on Saturday so I can recover for Tuesday, and just consciously doing those correct calculations in volume as you go. And obviously I'm very far into my career, I can work out what that is on the moment in the day. If this set's going to take me over the top, I know that I can leave it because that's experience. So it's just something for you guys to take note of. In order to get that experience, you've got to take note of it, listen to it. I wasn't listening to my body for 5-6 years. I didn't have a clue how to do this stuff. But if you can do this stuff in your early stages of bodybuilding, when you're 3, 4, 5 years in, you're so in tune with your body that your results they go sky high. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll be back very soon. Thank you so much for the love on the channel. We had 2 videos that went semi-viral, like 40 to 50k views, which is pretty damn good for us. Obviously there'll be a lot of new subscribers there, so thank you guys for tuning in. I hope we can educate you, inspire you, motivate you to do more. And I'm chasing an Olympia qualification. I was saying I was chasing IFBB Pro Card for about 3 years. Now it's an Olympia qualification, so welcome on the journey. We've got a lot to talk about and a lot to do, so don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. We'll see you very soon. Peace.